Hi and welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video for the 21st episode of Season 1 of Stargate SG1 called Politics. Last time we saw the team visit a planet that had Gould warnings placed there. Jack told them that they were returning to Earth, but not before Daniel touched a mirror-like object that he found, and he glowed briefly. He then discovered that the team had disappeared, so he returned to Earth, where no one seemed to recognize him as part of the Stargate team. Things seemed a little bit more off on Earth, as the General was now a Colonel, and Jack was now a General in charge of the Stargate project. Earth was under orbital attack by the Goa'uld, and many major cities had already been destroyed, which helped Daniel to realize that he was in an alternate reality. Daniel helped them translate a transmission they'd received, which showed the planet of origin for the attack on Earth. With the base itself under attack, everyone fought to buy time to help Daniel escape back to the planet with the mirror, so that he could return to warn his Earth that an attack may be imminent. So let's see what happens in this episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I will be discussing what happened and my thoughts about it. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1. So we're starting straight back after the last one.
Was a warning.
Or so your vision foretells.
No, but I swear to you, I was experiencing an alternate
I mean,
reality.
yeah, he says it's a vision, but he wasn't there.
You were there, and there's no place like home.
Daniel, it's not that we don't believe you.
Well, it is. You don't know. You don't believe you.
We don't believe you.
When you were in this alternate reality, were there differences?
Yes, you and Jack were engaged to be married.
Oh, that's one to throw in the mix.
It's against regulations.
She wasn't in the military.
Lieutenant Colonel Samuels, now, Captain.
I thought you'd been transferred to the Pentagon, sir.
I was. Stargate mission analysis.
Has he been in it before? I don't remember him.
Senator Kinsey has taken a great deal of interest in the program. It could mean the end of the Stargate. The hearing is at 1400 hours.
So there's a senator who's overseeing or has looked into the Stargate program. I assume sort of the budget for it. And he doesn't like what he's seen. So they said before that they've not been seeing a return on investment, basically. They're not getting new technology. So yeah, they needed to find more things to make it worthwhile. So he's just going to talk about shutting it all down just when they're possibly going to be under attack.
Senator Kinsey is chairman of the Appropriations Committee. He's demanded to know what's behind the line item the Pentagon refers to as Area 52.
Area 52. Yeah.
That just happens to cost $7.4 billion a year to operate.
7.4 billion. Okay.
He's thought if they granted the senator the appropriate clearances,
He'd stop asking questions.
he'd recognize its importance to national security and authorize the expenditure.
But he didn't.
The senator decided the SGC will receive no further funding from the Treasury. It costs nearly $1 billion just to turn the lights on.
Okay. That's really cool. I'm interested to see this perspective of things about the real monetary backing of it all. So this is going to be interesting. So yeah, I've forgotten the figure already. 7.4 billion, a number of billion under 10. Sounds realistic as a figure, because there's all the military personnel, there's all the equipment, the power. I don't know how much it costs to actually not just run the base, but actually power the Stargate. So yeah, that sounds like a realistic amount of money. And it was just down on the books. It's just one line, Area 52, and then the X billion dollars. So this senator's part of the Appropriations Committee, so he looks over expenditure. He saw that, wanted to know what it was. He was asking questions. So they gave him clearance in the hope that he would just, once he understood how important it was, he would just approve it. But he hasn't. He can't see the benefit, by the sounds of it, of the Stargate program, so he wants to save billions of dollars. Which, if all you're looking at is a line on a page and some people tell you stories of this thing, I can understand. Okay, so this could be interesting.
The issue of our worth could be debated openly in the Senate, but not without making the Stargate known to the general public.
Which they can't do.
The president doesn't believe the time for that has come.
Okay, so they can do it, but then decide not to do it. Might change their mind if a Goa'uld ship appears in orbit.
I prefer battle, actually.
This is a battle, just a battle of words.
Let's just keep the alternate reality story as our little ace in the hole.
Because they don't believe him. Why would the senator?
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize.
Ronnie Cox.
This is the infamous SG1.
So he's obviously read mission reports.
And this must be the drain through which the money flows.
I know you have a very busy schedule, Senator.
You don't want to rush him, though. If you rush him, he'll make a decision that's not going in your favour. You've got to explain it all.
I am by nature suspicious of all things secretive, be they in the government or inside the military service.
On face value, that's not a bad thing to think about, or to think.
And I have tried to maintain an open mind. I must admit that I find the very idea of this facility offensive.
Oof. He's got an open mind.
Several examples where you have averted tragedy on a global scale by the skin of your teeth, and virtually none where you have brought back anything of worth.
That's true.
However, since I have, on occasion, been wrong before,
How modest of you.
the President of the United States has asked me to hear you out.
Ah, so he's already decided, but the president's ordered him to listen.
Well, as long as you've got an open mind.
Yep, you're spot on.
The Stargate represents a giant step in our understanding of the universe. We have learned more about astrophysics.
That doesn't bring in money.
It also gives us insights into human cultures.
That doesn't bring in money. It just costs money.
You are familiar with the story of Pandora.
The first woman ever created by Zeus, who, according to legend, gave her a box and warned her never to open it.
Contained the evils of the world.
She closed it in time to keep hope inside.
Then should we not close your gate?
To keep hope. Box is already open.
The gate, i.e. the box, is already open.
Yes. But closing the box, i.e. burying the gate, does get rid of most of the problems. Except for Daniel's attack from orbit, which they said they're not going to talk about. That's the only thing that burying the gate wouldn't protect them from. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But from what we've seen this series so far, they haven't brought much back. There was that there was some medicine they brought back that they thought could be useful. I mean, they've had Teal'c's staff weapon and stuff, so they probably have learnt some things from equipment. They have probably brought some bits and pieces back, but nothing huge that we've seen that I can think of anyway. So I can see on paper and just, from an outsider's perspective, it is a drain with not much return.
The word threat, Colonel O'Neill, has been used far too often by this country's military as a justification for expenditure.
Ooh, that's very honest of him.
This time there really are barbarians. They're called Goa'ulds, and they really are at the gate.
That one.
We have reason to believe
Yeah.
they're going to launch an attack in force in ships.
Right.
Then I think they'll regret taking on the United States military.
Oh, you idiot.
Oh, you're right. We'll just upload a computer virus into the mothership.
Independence Day. Oh, I'll have trivia on that.
Wipe us out from orbit.
I'm not convinced of that.
They speak the truth.
I'm not entirely convinced of that either.
He's not going to trust Teal.
Sit down, Colonel. When I've made up my mind, you will know it.
Oh, I'm not sure the structure of the military and the senators. I don't think he has authority over him, does he? The president does, but I'm not sure a senator does.
I gave the president my word that I would give you a fair hearing, and I intend to do that.
Not sure of that.
Thank you.
Secret briefings on their missions.
Samuels, could I get a copy of that?
You wrote this report, Colonel.
Just one little reference.
Makes sense. We want to have a copy.
There should be an apostrophe after the A before the U. It's pronounced...
Goa'uld.
Goa'uld. Okay, I think I have been saying Goa'uld, but it's Goa'uld. Okay.
In that moment, Apophis gave the order.
Kill the rest.
Oh, it's going to be a flashback episode. I suppose it kind of has to be for what they're doing. I'm not a huge fan of flashback episodes, but in this particular instance, it makes sense and I think it would be beneficial. I don't see how this helps justify the Stargate, though. This particular instance. Obviously, they turned Teal'c because they got him on their team and his knowledge, but...
I can save these people!
Oh, a big part of me wants to skip these bits. How different would things have been if the guards had just shot Teal'c? They're there shooting unarmed people, and Teal'c's there picking them off one by one. I assume it's partly they couldn't see because of their headpieces. They were looking forwards. So they didn't know they were being picked off one by one. I'm assuming, which is pretty rubbish design. Yes, well, which is quite interesting in hindsight now. So yeah, he's looking around at what he's done to his people.
Unarmed, at the enemy's mercy, one of their own was able to set you free.
It wasn't that simple.
But it's what happened.
We met heavy resistance on our return to the Stargate.
And they took down one of their fighters with a rocket, so the standard Earth technology. I do like that bit. Shows off their, as well as looking cool, it shows off their maneuverability. That's much more maneuverable than one of our jets.
Major Kowalski made light work of what...
Yeah.
Yet you managed to get away with minimal casualties. Hardly the greatest threat humanity has ever faced.
I can understand this on paper and what he's seen. It makes sense.
It's just SG2 returning on schedule, Senator. There's nothing to worry about.
That's the first time we've seen it, though.
Oh, I disagree, General. I think it is something to worry about.
Yeah, he's still got an open mind.
You seem to have defeated them handily at every turn.
They actually killed us once.
Yep, and the Nox brought them back. So, to be fair, that was a rubbish ambush, though, that they did. They could have done a better job. They had the element of surprise, and those Jafar are out in the open, pretty much. They should easily have picked off at least one of them immediately. And then her doing that was ridiculous.
Senator, if Goa'uld technology can generate energy shields around individuals
And ships.
But that shield worked on kinetic energy, so it might stop projectile weapons. But what about like a nuclear weapon?
This Goa'uld Nirti, he once sent an emissary of peace, negotiated a treaty concerning a Stargate.
Well, this isn't going to help their argument.
The Stargate was destroyed.
They brought back basically a huge bomb that could have blown up a huge radius around the Stargate base.
The point is, sir.
Ooh, it's a bard comment, sir.
Hello?
But they weren't human, had nothing to do with us. That'll be his argument. They're not from Earth.
If they're so strong, why did you switch sides in the first place?
Because what is right cannot be measured by strength.
Yeah.
Your world values freedom. I wish that very same freedom for my people.
Well, I don't want to appear callous, sir, but
But you
I
gotta
believe
be.
that's your problem.
Yeah,
I don't care about other worlds.
just this one. I knew that's where he was going to go.
For when the Goa'uld finally do come in force, and they will, your citizens, as the strongest, most powerful
Be
country...
first to go. Yeah. Along with me, apparently, according to the last episode. Unless they move back to Wales.
Major Kowalski became infested with a Goa'uld parasite.
He very nearly destroyed this facility.
But since then, they have put in checks and things to stop things like that happening again. We've seen it, so which is good. Because I was very, very critical. I still am, but I was very critical in the early episodes. But we have seen things improve, the way they do things.
Destruct sequence on the failsafe device.
How do you have the code?
I don't know, but I need 2 ranking officers to override, and you're it.
Yeah, he shouldn't be able to do it. It takes 2 officers to do the self-destruct. He shouldn't be able to do it on his own.
But consider the myriad plagues you could bring back through the Stargate.
Yep.
Reason enough to shut it down forever.
Again, he's not wrong. I've said the same things.
Well, sir, my recommendation is that anyone attempting to leave the mountain should be shot on sight.
Okay, so they had procedures in place for it, but they still brought it back.
Just to put all the victims, we've used the brigs, we've used the temp quarters.
Oh, so they have got brigs. They haven't used them much, though, that we've seen.
You've already had more than the maximum safe dosage.
Yeah.
No, it's not safe. Why are you so insistent?
Just looking back on it now, I'm just a bit surprised that she gave him the injection. There's no... Just because he was asking for it, there's no reason to give it to him. It's well acted. He looks like he is. He has regressed. His mannerisms and things are really good.
It's a histaminolytic, which means it breaks down histamine. Well,
He wouldn't have cared about all that explanation normally, let alone he's in that state.
We saved an entire race of people. I'd call that a success, sir.
But at the risk of Earth.
You very nearly died when infected by...
Nanocytes, sir.
The one where he aged. I mean, they might have got had some advancement in medical knowledge out of these incidents, but again, I can't think of anything practical that they've got out of it all. Well, they got the friendship with the caveman. I'll say caveman episode. I'm sure you know what I mean. They got the friendship with the people on that planet, and I assume the friendship with the people on this planet as well.
Still working on it. But it's going to take time.
And the nanites in this one, again, we haven't seen it, but might have led to technological advances.
I've learned very much from you. Thank you.
Again, it's good acting. It's shaking because he's so old. His hands are shaking. And his head is shaking as well.
But after the incident, the General ordered all samples of the nanocyte destroyed.
Okay. So they haven't got any to examine now. They'll have scans to look at.
In fact, SG2 just made contact with Cynthia's planet just a few weeks ago.
Right.
They're living...
So, yep,
Now,
still
I am
friends
what we
with
did
them.
there. Or this level of competence.
My people are the best out there.
Well, if they're not happy with the competence, that comes down to the General.
I intend to shut the Stargate down.
That was always his plan. It's quite scary that this has all been decided in a couple of hours meeting.
What if I told you I knew that they were coming? In ships. Then I would be curious to know why
How?
you waited until this moment before saying so.
Because everyone told him to shut up. You can't prove
Where
it.
did you learn this information?
In an alternate reality.
Daniel may have experienced an interdimensional transfer to an alternate reality.
You don't completely believe it.
By heaven, I've heard enough of this. If this is so, why have they waited?
It will take time for Apophis to assemble the necessary forces.
That makes sense.
How many ships, Dr. Jackson? Has anyone detected their approach?
I would have thought if we could detect them, it would be too late.
Then I say, let them come.
Oh, that's stupid.
You're talking suicide.
Does he really
You
think...
underestimate this great nation.
No, you underestimate them.
We have challenged Apophis. He will not rest until the people of this world worship him.
They're a spacefaring race.
Only one God, sir.
Seen their hand weapons. Imagine those being far from space.
You think God is going to save us?
If the Goa'uld do come, then we will be able to tell them we have buried our gate in the ground forever.
Well, that's not going to make a difference.
We shall prevail.
You're a fool.
Yeah.
Then at least Pandora's box will have finally been closed.
I can see why he's saying most of it. He's stupid for thinking that we could withstand an alien attack from space.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry it had to end like this.
Don't think you are.
Get out of here.
Don't think he believes him either. I really don't remember him.
I would like to request permission to return to the Stargate before it's permanently sealed. This world does not intend to continue its struggle against the Goa'uld.
He'll go and do it himself.
I think I'm going with him.
Oh.
The President has made it perfectly clear if we were unable to convince the Senator, we would cease operations.
Immediately? Ooh.
So with all due respect, the good senator is an ass.
He is an elected official of the government we are sworn to serve.
Those two things aren't necessarily in disagreement with each other. He's an elected official who's an ass.
Dismissed.
Surprised they didn't replace him. If they weren't happy with the way things were going, that comes down to the leadership of the place. So replace him and put someone else in charge who would do things differently. I think that was a really good episode. I say I'm not really a fan of like the flashback episodes that a lot of shows do. Normally they just feel like they're a filler episode, just reusing old footage. But for this one, it actually worked really well to justify what was going on, and it was interesting to see the political side of things. And like I mean, he was saying a lot of the things I've been saying. I don't completely disagree with him. Let's say he is an idiot for thinking that we could withstand an attack from space. That's the one big thing that he's completely wrong about. And surely nobody would think that. If an alien race appears in space, the technology they would have to get here would dwarf where we are currently. We don't have weaponry to really attack them. Even just simple weaponry that they could fire from orbit would be enough to do us serious damage. So yeah, that's a stupid position for him to have. But there's no evidence that there is going to be an attack from space from his perspective. So burying the gate would get rid of, from his perspective, all of the threats. And it would, really. It's only the space-bound threat that we can't deal with. So yeah, I actually really liked it. So, there's only one episode left of the season. The gate's been ordered to be shut down. So, I can only kind of think of a few options for the next episode. One, they disregard the decision and maybe SG1 basically go off base themselves. They activate the Stargate and go somewhere themselves against orders, which probably seems most likely, to be honest. Two, they don't do anything and they're attacked. The attack comes to Earth and then they're allowed to do something. Three, they don't do anything, they're attacked and they're killed, which is unlikely. I think more than likely they're going to disobey orders and go off to that planet, which they've got the address for, which that seems weird now I think about it, because it's bound to be guarded, surely. If this is where the attack's coming from, there's going to be loads of soldiers there. So it wouldn't be a good idea to go there, to be honest. But I think that's most likely what's going to happen next episode. Yeah. No, really, really good episode. Really, so it was interesting to see that political and monetary side of things. It makes it more realistic, if that makes sense. Yeah, 7.4 billion or whatever. Yeah. Wonder how much Area 51, because that implies there is an Area 51 if they're Area 52. how much that costs to run. Don't know. If he's got clearance for this one, I would have thought he'd probably have clearance for that as well. Unless they have to give it on a project by project basis, but I think it's pretty much down to a level of clearance, which I would have thought Area 51 would probably have the same level. But yeah, no, really good, really enjoyed it. Yeah, so let me know what you thought about this one, and see you next one for the season finale. Be seeing you.